Hello, and welcome back to another episode of For Real, hosted by me, Allison.
And me, Matt.
Where we engage in deep conversations about the things on our minds as young adults and young creatives. So speaking of being young creatives, today's topic is creativity. And we've noticed that obviously creativity manifests itself in different ways and forms in life and has become more and more prevalent in kind of like culture and as well as our daily lives over the generations. So as we kind of reflect on our interests and passions and what we want to bring into our future career, creativity has had a bigger impact on some than others. And so in this episode, we want to talk about how we personally view and manifest and create creativity and what impact it has in our life and how we approach it.
If you want to tune in on the fun, this episode's full video can be found on our YouTube channel at For Real and our Spotify. And we have a very, very, very special guest with us today, the creative mastermind herself, Joan! Do you want to introduce yourself in some way?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, frick. Hello, my name is Joan. I am a senior at Northwestern.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I study journalism, same as Allison, and also history. And
Oh, I didn't know you were doing history.
yes, I dance a lot.
Yes. And that is how we also know each other.
Yes.
Through dance.
Yay!
Shall we?
Yes. So to get our conversation started today, I guess the first question is very broad, and it's just, what is your definition of creativity?
I can't stop laughing when I
Why? Okay. This feels like a job interview.
Yeah, I think I was
Yeah.
just thinking that with only one person, it feels like we're
Yeah.
interviewing you
It's okay.
instead of talking.
Okay. Practice. Good practice for the
You can
future.
sit on that side if you want to. It's like teleported
okay.
halfway across the video. Doop. I feel like for me at least, like creativity, like of course like we're dancers, but it's not limited to just that. I mean I used to do like visual arts actually. That's I think where I started in terms of like my creative outlet. I like drew and I painted a lot. And also like as a recent, like I think like, you know, you can have like creativity in terms of like how you talk or it's like tattoo art, or if it's like, I think like a lot of different things. But I guess like my definition of creativity is more so just like thinking about things in your own unique way that like other people may not be able to like do so, if that makes sense. This is a tough topic.
This is
It's okay. I think for me, it's like, well, I mean, I think at its base form, it can be seen as an expression of yourself. But I think throughout, I guess, like trying to understand my own creativity as I got older, it became like kind of unlocking different sides of myself and expressing that too. And I feel like I also, I don't know, it's like for me, it's like I like to think of creativity as a way like of trying to find the small things in life that I like, or like some feeling that I'm feeling, and then like expressing it in like my way.
I like that answer a lot. I think for me, kind of similar, I've noticed that ever since a kid, I was very creative, but in different ways. Like it started off with like, I first just read, which is not very like me making creativity, but more of like helping fuel, absorbing creativity. And then it became me trying to write things, creativity, like poetry or like short stories. And then that later on, like I tried like making covers of songs on GarageBand.
Really?
Where I would like record myself. I did that too. Yeah, and I would like design the album art.
Archives.
Oh no, I would like design the album covers and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, that's really fun.
And then I started like video editing and making like anime AMVs. Like
Oh,
anime
I
music
do remember
videos.
you talking about that.
Yeah, so I feel like I've always been like doing something like that's just like my form of entertainment or like my personal hobby. So for me, it's also kind of like fun ways that I can like have fun and just make something or absorb something that someone else made and like, I don't know, appreciate it, I think.
I feel like I see a lot of that in what you do right now. I mean, like you said, like editing album covers of like PR stuff now.
Yeah.
And then you say editing videos, AMVs, like your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it kind of still sticks.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I want to see some of your AMVs.
I do want to see some of them.
It's on YouTube still, if you
Oh.
want to see them. They're not that great. I think in the moment I was like, wow. But
Like middle school Allison, like jamming out to like, I don't know, like One Piece or something.
yeah, but
That's
now when I
crazy.
watch, it's just like funny. Yeah, because they were just fun. Like, there were even like competitions or like, they were called like AMV roulettes or something, where like
What?
there was like different rounds and like they would give you like an interesting like topic or theme that you had to follow. So one of the ones I did was like horror or something. So I had to make it like scary, whatever, and it was just like fun.
Wait, that's really cool.
That's really interesting. That's
Yeah.
something I need to look at that later tonight. Then maybe
Yeah.
when we're just studying in Kresge.
No. Yeah.
Cool. I think. Shall we go to the second question?
Yeah, I think this ties in a lot with what Joan you were saying, but like, what are the ways that creativity can manifest for you? And you also said that you find it as a way to express yourself, but like, what are like different ways or avenues that you do express yourself through creativity? 'Cause there's not just one like set.
Well, I guess for me, the primary form, as most of you in this room know, is through dance. And I feel like sometimes I don't even like think of it as like trying to be creative, or I feel like dance to me has just become like, I don't want to make it cheesy, but it's just like a different language or just like something that I naturally do. So I don't really like try to think of like my dancing or like creation of choreography as like something necessarily creative. It's just like natural. Yeah. And I think that's like good in some ways, and that like I think because it feels so natural to me, it's not as difficult for me to like try to force myself to like fit a different person's style or something like that, which is something that I know a lot of people struggle with in terms of creativity. But yeah, it's like that's the primary way. And I guess like some other ways I enjoy creativity is just like obviously watching other people dance, videos too, like making videos or watching other people's videos. Music, that's big. Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know, any type of like entertainment or like something, as you mentioned, that is absorbable, I think is a way that creativity manifests itself, at least for me. Yeah, I don't know what I said, but like...
I'm kind of curious, like before we answer the question, like what you said about like it being like a language now, but of course like when anyone learns a language at first, you're kind of like like tripping, you know, like on yourself. Like I guess I'm curious, like how did that change to like it being more natural now? Is it just because like you've done it for a long time, or?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, obviously, like, you know, it takes, I'm not going to say that I'm a master at dance, but like, you know how there's like this certain time frame that you have, a number of hours that you commit to
the
become
10,000
like,
hours
yeah,
thing?
like to commit to become like a master at something. I don't know how many hours I've committed, but it feels like most of my college career, most of like my younger life was also primarily dancing, but like I didn't really think about it as like a creative thing. It was just like a thing. Just my thing kind of. Yeah, so I think that's how it became natural. And I think also just like during COVID, it was really hard for me to enjoy dancing, and then from that I tried to like own it in like my own way that I didn't do before. Yeah, I was getting inspired by like all these different people who were doing a lot of different work, including like many of you in this room. So I was just like, holy, like I need to like find myself or like find a way for me to enjoy it. And then through that, I think like I pushed myself like mentally to make it more natural. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I think like having that COVID time period to myself, like not being able to dance with anybody else, made it like more me, if that makes sense. Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
This is like slightly off topic, but I'm curious, like, I feel like as creatives, everyone has sort of their own style, and usually it's like a little hard to describe, but you can usually like someone might have like a different vibe or whatever. How would you describe your creative style? And that can be in terms of dance or music or videos or like any aspect.
I think, I don't know if, I think you might be able to agree because like you've seen me like do stuff before, but I think generally my creative style is just like fast and instinctual, or like I don't really think a lot. When
animal.
like I just
on instinct.
it's like
automatic.
I feel like I try to like whatever comes like naturally to me first. I think that's like the way I like it. Unless I like let's say I'm like choreographing something. Generally, it doesn't take me like that long to make something just because I end up liking what I do. But if I watch it and I'm just like, oh, I don't like that, then I'll like go and change it. But like even when I'm like editing videos, like I get like the rough cut done like super fast. But I think it's just like habit, maybe. Yeah, so just like fast. I don't know about it being like well thought out, but like it's fast.
Wait, no, I feel that though on like the choreographing thing at least, because like, I mean, like we choreograph one time together, and generally whenever I talk,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
so Allison looks so confused for a second. She's like,
I forgot about that.
yeah. No. And then like, also just in general, I realized that what I take for my final choreography, like the product, tends to be what I just initially did.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's because like, I mean, at first I was like, oh, it's bad because I didn't reflect, because people are like, the general consensus is that people always create, draft, and then, you know, like edit and then like do it again. But then for me, I was just like, oh, is it bad then that I just took the first thing that came to mind? But then now like hearing this is like, oh, like that's not necessarily true, because like it could just be what's most comfortable for you.
Wait, that's very interesting. I think you know what I'm thinking of right now, or maybe not. It's okay.
Maybe I don't.
No, just like what you said about like how people usually think that you're supposed to like keep drafting and editing.
Yeah.
It's because I like wrote about this for a job application once.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
where
yeah.
the question was like, something describe an oxymoron. No. what was it?
Oxymoron?
Yeah, describe an oxymoron that you resonate most with, and then I chose to write about final draft. How to me there's no like final like you
Right,
know
like, it
there's
could
no,
always
like,
be better
final,
if you had
yeah.
time,
And then I
right.
said like for me like especially when I write like I also write really fast, but I feel like the more I edit it, the better it gets. And like the first time, like it can obviously like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting because now I'm also reflecting like, oh, maybe is it not that bad to begin with? And I also think it's different for like dance or video or writing.
Yeah.
I definitely think for sure I need to edit it.
Writing, I definitely
Yeah.
need to edit.
But
Oh
with
my god.
dance, I don't know. I kind of do a similar thing where I will, when I choreo, I kind of like freestyle or think of certain things I want to hit and think of how I want to hit them. And then I'll just like rewatch. And if I don't like anything, I'll change it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think for choreography at least, I'm also on the faster side.
Yeah.
Like I know some others, like they take like weeks, months to choreo like and change
Yeah.
over and over and over again. I'm just like, how do you do that? That's
Yeah.
a lot. But like everyone just like has different like styles to creating things. So
Yeah.
oh.
But I mean, I guess like for that, it also depends on like the deadline.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
sometimes if you have a deadline, if you have a deadline to meet, then you have to meet the deadline. But like, I guess like besides like choreographing and dance wise though, something for me recently, and you guys know this because I'm always asking, but it's like singing and rapping.
Oh.
Like I think not even throughout the COVID time. It's like recently, like because of their like I'm not taking as many classes, or not that, but like because like we don't have classes, you know, or just like I spend more time by myself. And like I know people always talked about like, oh, like I love vibing in my own room, da 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 da, and like that never clicked with me until like this quarter, because like I would really want to sing, or like there's like something I really want to like get off my chest. And then I'm like, damn, but there's nobody to like go karaoke with. So I was like, I'm just gonna like lock myself in my room.
Oh, just do it yourself.
Yeah, so I turn all the lights off, just turn on my LED
Oh.
light, and then like I have a standable desk, so I raise it up so that I don't have to like sit down to watch the lyrics. I can like stand up, and then this is so fucking embarrassing. But then
that's really funny. I
I'll
want
grab.
to see like a hidden footage.
Oh
of
god,
this.
no! And then I'm outing myself, and then I'll grab something that like resembles a mic.
Wait, does Lewis hear these?
Okay, so one time I had to practice singing because a class required us to karaoke. It was Asian Am 247 that I took this quarter.
Oh.
And so I was like practicing in the morning, and he heard me then, but he hasn't heard me like do this when I'm talking about like at
That's so
night.
funny.
At night with like LED lights, and I'm just like belching. Like
Belching?
I get really scared because sometimes when I play my music really loud, Akanel is right under me, and she'd be like, "Oh, are you jamming to like Logic?" And I'm like, "Ah, shit." I was like, "My bad," but she doesn't mind. But yeah, in terms of like other creativity, I think like singing is like very interesting. It's like something that I'm learning to do, and it's like it's like it's similar to dance in that it's like a different language and that there's different technicalities behind it. So like if I'm singing a song, you know, by Ruel versus a song by like I'm not singing by Adele, but like I'll sing along with like a cover of it, so it's like in my vocal range. Like there's like different styles and stuff, and I think that's like what's really interesting. But like in that way, I feel like creativity, almost always has to come as like a bodily reaction, if that makes sense. Because in order to have creativity, like we have to exist like human. Like, this is really philosophical. What the fuck? But if there weren't humans, then like would there be creativity type deal? You know what I mean? Because like we're the ones making the creative stuff. Or engaging in these activities. But
this is getting really deep.
Yeah.
Now they're starting like, how did people first like think of these things? Like
the first Homo sapiens. How did you become creative?
No, yeah, like it's just so interesting. Like if in a world where talking is like the only type of like vocal expression, how do you just one day you're like, I'm gonna add some notes to that.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, that's just something new for me, at least, because I know, we all know we're dancers, but for me, as of recent, it's like singing, rapping, music. Yeah.
So how's your singing?
You know, maybe we'll bring it out when we karaoke sometime.
Okay.
Once in a while, I like look at my Snap memories, and I have that video of you in your yellow jacket. The piano in Plex Space.
Oh, yeah. Me too. The one where we sang together.
Oh, my God, dude. I was so out of pitch. Like, yeah. No, hopefully I got better.
It's a good time.
We improve.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully.
That's funny. I do something similar sometimes. When I'm really bored, I'll look up, like, karaoke instrumental with backing vocals and try to sing. I sent Joan a few, but one time at Words when I was bored, I tried to do dance and sing like K-pop songs at the same time. It was really hard. Yeah. Or like I humbled myself. I tried it. I was like,
You should send me the video too. I'm curious. That stuff is hard. Dancing while you're singing.
Yeah, it's hard. Also, when I don't really know the lyrics, I'm like,
damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's fun, but it's just much to think about. Like how other people do it. Yeah.
On that note, have you ever been in creative rut? If so, what are some things you do or find that helps with getting out of that? So like when you're stuck.
I think for me, what I think of first is like YouTube or like video editing. Because I started getting very into it / consistent like last year around this time, I think. That's crazy. But yeah, it was like around 1 year ago. And I honestly started more because of like to show my parents what I was up to. But it like also worked out because I do like video editing.
That's
and, like,
cute.
Although I've never done like filming stuff before, it was like fun too. But definitely after a while, it became a little like I didn't really want to do it as much, or like it was getting less fun. I think partially I've talked to Joan about this too. But partially because it was like, like not that like we made YouTube to like get famous or anything, but like it's kind of demoralizing. Obviously, still like when you post and there's like 5 views, you know, so that kind of built into it. And then for me, because I was also including Chinese subtitles for every video, that just took so long. Yeah, it took so long, and so that definitely put me in a rut. So at the end, I was like, I'm really sorry to my relatives, but like my family still understands. So it was just like for my relatives too, but then I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna cut out the Chinese subtitles. That helps so much. Like it would like take out like half or even 2/3 of the editing time. It just took the longest. And I think something else that helped was like experimenting with different types of videos. Like I used to only do vlogs, but then around winter break, I started to do like, I did like a haul video or I did like an unboxing video or whatever, and just experimenting with different types also was really fun. So yeah, that's kind of what I did. And just like also being able to watch other people's videos and look at different types of editing styles to see like what I like or like different things that I can do instead of constantly like staying in my own little box. Yeah. I think just drawing inspiration from others is a good way, I think, overall.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that they asked for Coda like member questionnaire, like when I rejoined this quarter, was like what motivates you, and my answer was like seeing other people be good at like what they're doing. And I think like it's interesting for me because I get really competitive like secretly, like I don't really know if people know, but like I'm like inside, like I'm just always like, holy, like this person's good. Like not that I need to be better, but it'd be nice if like it'd be nice if I like pushed myself to like kind of like be at their level too. Like an example is like Jean. So like whenever I see like someone really excel at their own craft, I'm just like, holy, like I need to like work hard and like get there. And I think like usually I get in a creative rut like when I have to teach my bi-weekly classes at Puzzle Blocks, because I know I don't need to make new choreo like every time I go, but I feel like because I don't teach that often, I need to like present something new to people so that they have fun. And then it's always like the question of like, will these people enjoy like a style that's like intrinsic to me or something that like is going to be more fun for them to do? So like from there, it's always just like I never know what song to do, and then like I never know like how difficult to make the choreo too. So it's just kind of like I have so many different like options, and then I just get stuck. I don't know how I overcame it, but I don't know. I think it's just like I have a deadline, so I have to like stick to it and then just push through. Yeah, but generally I think just like, and honestly, it was also like just generally for dance. Like if I have like a dance assignment coming up, there was a lot.
What assignments?
Sorry. Or like, let me rephrase. There were dance assignments for like a lot of the different like dance online programs that I did.
Okay.
So for like, the one that I struggled the most with was the program with Bo Park, because I just had to like submit like a new choreo every week. Wow. And I was just like, I don't have a music. I don't have a song that I like. Yeah. One of them was like create something that's like natural to you, and then create something that's like not natural to you. Like both do at like the same time. And I was just like, I don't have like the creative like energy to do this.
That's a lot.
I pushed through and it like turned out okay, but I think it was just like in times I do need to take a break. Like I realize I need to. I mean, if I don't have an assignment, I will take a break from.
No, for sure.
And then I get okay.
Yeah.
I feel like these might be two hot takes, but like one is like in regards to dance too, like if I'm in a creative rut, that's generally because I have to, like I feel pressure to produce something that I think that I wanted to like meet other people's expectations. So like whether that's choreography or when I'm like maybe in like a battle or a tournament, because I feel like those are the times when I do the so then like I feel like those are the times when I do very bad, but like of course it's been getting better through experience. But like sometimes for me, when I try to gain creativity, I tend to watch videos, as I think most of us do. But I've also heard takes where it's like, and I see it happen to me sometimes too. It's like once I watch a video that's really, really good and it gets ingrained in my mind, when I try to execute or create choreo, I'm like, wait,
it's not as
like it's not like natural. It's like I'm trying to copy them. And that happens a lot for me with Melvin Tim because he's always my all-time top favorite. And like I remember maybe even like a year or two ago when I tried to create choreography, I would literally be thinking to myself, what moves would Melvin use here? And if I can't think of it, then I would watch a video and try to like juxtapose, but then it doesn't look good because this man is straight up like up, not even up to my shoulders, you know, and then like, and I'm over here like lanky, so like it looks so different. So like I guess like first hot take is like to not look at these videos and like really try to internalize like what I would really do, like what I truly want to do. And if it's not that good, it's like, well, clearly your level is just not there yet, but you know, like that's the truth of it. And then a second hot take is like, are we doing like creative things for ourselves or for other people there? Because like even as you said with the video, like especially with how like media and social media and like the whole like culture is like right now, like there's so much emphasis on like likes, views, comments, subscribes. And since we started this podcast, you know, in the beginning, I was like literally hounding every day to see if our views went up and like if we got subscribers. And then like, of course, like I think generally when new things happen, it's like there's a spike because it's new.
Yeah.
But then as it continues, it generally goes down. Yeah. So like the first video, I think we had like
200 something.
Yeah, 200 something views. And I was like, oh, let's go. And then the second video, there's like only 100, and I'm like, what is the issue here? I'm like, what did we do wrong? Right? And I'm like, we're PRing like the way we normally do via like Instagram and stuff like that. But then at the end of the day, like, I was like, there's really no point in me like always just looking at the screen and trying to like figure out why we're not getting views, because at the end of the day, this is for fun too, and if we can impact like a handful of people, that's already like we've like did a good job. And I've been getting, and I share with you guys too, like I've been getting a lot of like positive feedback of people saying like, oh, like I love listening to you guys. Some people are like, oh yeah, like after listening to you guys, it made me think like a certain way and like open other people's eyes. And there's like, of course, like the Waddles who watch. Oh, shout out to the Waddles. How like they have like their watch parties, and it makes me happy when I hear like even just like one or two good things about it. But like it like I guess like question to y'all, like it gets me thinking, like, do you find yourself trying to like go to these creative endeavors for yourself or like for other people, you think?
It's tough. I mean, I think it depends on what your motivation and what your goal is. For example, if you are trying to get big on YouTube, obviously you have to like think about what your audience would like, also just from like a marketing perspective. But also like if that's what's getting you into a rut, or if that doesn't align with what you want out of that experience, then like no. Like I think for your second point, I've been trying to think of like the likes and the views and the stats as more of like a byproduct. It's more just like, oh, this one did well, nice, like great, but like it's not gonna be like, this one did well, I'm gonna make every single one like this. I think the question of like who you're creating it for becomes harder with dance for me, especially when it comes to submitting choreo to get to the set, because as I am someone who's like behind the deliberations and have gotten to know more about like what goes into a piece that gets chosen, like it really like there's a lot of times where you make something that you might like a lot, but it might not be what other people like, and like other people have to vote for your piece. Or it's like you create something you like a lot, but somehow 3 other people created something very similar, and not all of yours can get in. So that definitely like literally Joan and I on our way here, we were thinking about middle piece submission and like what we should do. Granted, it's not like, we were saying like we were basically.
You guys are collabing?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we were talking about like how we looked at the form, because now people can submit like what song or vibe they're going for, and so we were looking at like, oh, like we noticed there's not a lot of like this certain style, so maybe we can do that one. But it's like I think it's not as bad, because it's not like we were like, oh, we really want to do style A, but because a lot of people are doing style A and there's no style B, we're gonna switch. But it's just that like we didn't really have a preference to begin with, but it's still like making an impact on what we're creating. So yeah, I'm not really sure like how I think about it. Obviously it's tough when you make something you like but others don't, and then it like brings you down. Or if it's like the opposite, where like you make something you don't really like because other people will like it. Like I'm not sure how to go about that. It's a tough one.
I think like there are limits to like how creative you can be based on like the system you're creating it in. So I guess like in regards to like what you just said, it was just for context, it was primarily for refresh submissions
at our audience.
At our audience, which is like a very complicated system in which like people vote, people submit, and then the exec board meets to like decide on like what's good what gets in. And I think like it's also, or I guess like something that I've also thought about a lot was I guess like if you're doing it because like it's your career, or because it's like your passion.
It's different.
It's like it becomes a little bit different, because I think for me, when I've done it for like a more passionate reason, it obviously like I felt really good about like releasing it to the audience, and then I check my Instagram like saves, like how many saves did I get? Generally, like there are.
You could do that.
If you set your Instagram as like a business profile. Quick tip if you want to know.
Oh, that's I did not know that.
So like that's been really fun for me to observe, because I feel like I do post a decent amount of my dance videos, and then I check like which ones are doing like better in terms of like shares and saves, and generally the ones that I've been like more genuine in like do better, and I think it's because like the sentiment is like more raw and it's like very well translated. While as like if I'm like doing choreo for like a class, it's just like for a class for like teaching purposes. So I don't necessarily like feel like I like or love the choreo that I teach. It's just kind of like I do it because it's like a side career thing.
Right.
And then from there, I think like the distinction becomes a little bit clearer for me, at least. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now we are moving on to delivery time.
What is it called?
Delivery.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yes, but we have quite a few things here. The first one is just a thought / comment, I think.
Yeah.
But this person said that I think what comes to mind when I think about creativity is your own creative process and understanding it. For me, my creative process is figuring out what I want to accomplish. I feel like for me to get that result, I need to go through multiple rough drafts. And with me being very critical of myself, it can be a very long process. But as you go on through whatever journey you make, you learn and gain new tools that can be applied throughout your process. So that was their thought. We did kind of talk about the idea of drafts.
Rough drafts. And stuff
But
like that.
yeah, any thoughts specifically on like the creative process and how your process might be different?
Like the only thing for me that I have relative like expertise in right now would be dance. And I guess like music. Throwback to I haven't touched my saxophone since August.
Wow.
Yeah, she needs some love. I need to get back to it sometime. But yeah, it's just like of course, like as you explore and like do your craft, you get better and then you have more skills to put into it. But I think at the same time, it's like where your eye, like the phenomenon where your eye evolves quicker than what you can execute. So like I forgot the name, but it's like that gap of like what you see and what you feel is good versus what you actually can produce, which is why a lot of the times like people who are new to craft like start shitting on their own like what they produce relatively earlier on in the process, because what they see and what they recognize as good is way beyond what they could do. And I think for me is like as you go through that process, like yes, like you could become faster in a way, but also you can also become slower because you start realizing like smaller things and like fine tuning and nitpicking. But I don't know. I think right now it's like I would still consider myself relatively like I know I was saying I'm fast at like choreographing, but in the overall process, I think I'm still at like a novice level. It's like the more you know, the less you realize you know. Yeah.
That's true.
I don't know if any of that made sense, but it's just like food for thought. It's just like yeah.
I think for me, similar to what we talked about before, it really depends on both the like actual medium of how the creativity is expressed versus like other external factors like time, like whatever expectations, or like what exactly the like quote unquote assignment is. Like for example, for writing and for editing, I do it more like a outline process. For editing, like for vlogs, I just drag in all of the clips like consecutively and see like how long it turns out, and then I just go through each one and cut out like unnecessary parts. And then for writing, like I'm like a very firm believer in like doing very detailed outlines, so that basically by the time my outline is done, my paper is like 80% there. I just have to type everything out.
I feel that.
So I do that. But then for dance, like you can't really, or maybe you can, but you can't, to me, you can't really outline a choreo that you're about to make, and it's becomes more abstract for me for dance, where I think about like, oh, I want this vibe, or like I want to like hit this picture or get this idea, and then from there it goes like it funnels down to becoming more specific. So I think my creative process can be both like top down and also bottom up.
Interesting. Sorry, before Joan answers, hot take on that?
Like, about to roast me?
Wait, every single time I'm like trying to say something, so I think and I stop, and y'all think I'm about to roast you. But it's not. Wait, no. It's just like what you just said made me think though. Like when you said the word abstract and like like you kind of explained dance as being unable to have like an outline. Like it just like it made me think like, does that mean then that this medium or this form, this craft is considered more creative than other things, right? Because it's like if you can only go about this thing in an abstract manner, meaning that like it's unconventional or it's unreplicatable, like everyone goes about it in their own way, does that mean this form or this medium is like more creative than like say writing or editing, that you know you're able to go through in a methodical way or like very like linear logical way? I don't know, because I mean like things like math and stuff can be creative. Like you need some sort of creativity with the sine, cosine, whatever shit that I don't know how to do. Like I sucked at geometry, but at the same time, like I agree though, like it's hard to make like an outline for dance. Like you can have ideas, but it's not like you're writing things on paper and be like point A, point B, point C. Yeah, I don't know.
That's actually really interesting because I feel like my my creative process for dance is actually more constructed than my creative process for writing essays, unfortunately. I'm struggling with that right now. But, or like, I remember, I forgot when, but I think I was in high school and I was trying to like actually like on a piece of paper somehow write what I'm doing, like,
I've seen people do that.
My dance.
Yeah.
And I was just like now that I think about it, I don't think any of it made sense, but like for me, like as a person who put that stuff on the paper, like I was able to understand it.
Yeah.
And I think like, while I did say my general dance creative process is like very quick, I think like the process is quick. I think the planning is what like takes up most of my time. So like my execution, kind of like the way you write and the way I should be writing, it's like I take a lot of time to like prepare in my head, like I know what I want to do, and then I make, like that takes some time, like figuring out like what I want to do, and then when I make it, it's just like boom.
Like when you say like you know what you want to do, like you write down like moves or movement or like...
Yeah, or like I feel like most of my choreographing time is in my head.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so like I don't know, but I don't know if you remember, but basically on my Finstagram I posted a short clip of like me doing 2 moves from my fall RFS submission. I don't know if you remember, but it's like...
Continue? Continue.
But like, basically, like, I had that move, like, constructed for a while. And then I was just like, I don't know where to put it, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, so it's like, kind of just like, I think for me, generally, like, I have all my moves in my head. And then when I do it, I need to figure out, like, the filler moves that go in between.
Oh, that's so it's like, you have, like, checkpoints, I guess, or like, okay.
Yeah.
I do feel that though,
Yeah,
because that happens sometimes where it's like I'll listen to music.
A music.
I'll listen to music, but like I'll listen to a song and then like there'll be a point in time where I'm like, oh, like this would look dope here, and like, and I'm like, I'm a firm believer. I'm gonna firmly like say that this is gonna occur at this point in time into this sound, and it's like, oh, how do I make it fit into like the rest? Yeah. That's so interesting. Wow.
Very fun.
Yeah, hopefully that helped out or whoever sent that. But moving on, second question, or is it a question or?
Comment?
No, comment, thought, like food for thought, but is managing your own creative integrity versus your client's vision.
Oh my gosh,
that's a tough one.
And I guess that would work for you because you've had to do this in a pre-professional manner, right?
Oh, like, yeah, I did.
Right? So like, I guess like, what is your take on this like balance?
My first client ever was my most recent client. My first and ever only client was the Troublemakers.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Shout out Troublemakers one time.
Yeah. I love you guys. So basically, they tasked me with the task of choreographing their a cappella set for a competition.
Yeah.
So, I never did this before, obviously, and I think they wanted to bring in someone who could do some research and, like, provide movement that isn't too difficult for them, but, like, also still looks good. So I did not, or it was interesting because generally I'm very thankful that like my client and I like had very similar visions of like what should be happening on stage, what they wanted me to bring out. So it was like a very collaborative process, and I think more methodological than like I have ever been, because what they prepared and sent to me was like their whole music score. Thankfully, I kind of know how to read music, so like I wasn't like too lost because I was also in choir, so I know how to read music.
I didn't know you were. Oh, never mind. You mentioned stories about that. Never mind.
It's okay. So like they basically wrote on like the PDF like where they wanted me to like do something or like move something or like somehow like draw this like section out. And I think I try to stick to that as much as possible. And then like I ran stuff by like the music director, and I was like, do you think this is possible while you're like walking around? Like, will it sound okay? I think a lot of it was just cool. Like, I have to think about like how, I mean, acapella is like primarily based on like the singing, so I had to make sure that whatever I had asked them to do, they could still do while like singing to like their best ability. And I think it was hard for me to understand that at first, because it was just like, I mean, I only dance, so it's like I don't need to use my breathing technique. Like there's no such thing as like breathing technique or like pauses. Like I don't need to think about what I sound. Water breathing. Sorry, we're okay. So I was just like, wow, that's like, it was a lot of different things to think about, but it was like, it was a very fun challenge, and I think I was still able to bring out like my artistic vision through that, because like, I mean, I dance, so I like work with music all the time, and then what I hear is like, I wanted to express like how I felt while hearing them sing it, and then like put that on them, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that just
like,
reminds me of marching band. Because like you're having to move while you're having to play, so it's like you're out of breath because you're playing, and then you're also moving, and there is choreography in marching band. Like there would be spots where we stop and we all unlock memory, but we stop and we like doop, doop, doop. So like that gave me a trip down memory lane. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah. Hopefully I get to work with more clients, so if anyone is watching this,
hit her up.
Reach out to Joan.
Reach out to Joan.
I'll try my best.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
It turned out really nice. I've only ever had one client, I guess, but they wanted me to help them film a dance video and also do the editing. And I don't know, I think I don't have as much experience yet with this. So with my one experience, it was very easy and simple, because they weren't like very strong, like, oh, like right here it needs to be like this or whatever, or like there was no big clashes, or like what their vision was pretty much like aligned with what I thought would also fit well for it. So in terms of both like the way we filmed the cuts and like where to zoom in or like how to transition or whatever, and also with the edits, it was like a very easy process. I just kind of asked them like, oh, what are certain cuts you want or transitions you want, and then I'll make that happen. And then for the editing, it was kind of like I just went ahead and did it. They gave me like the clips they wanted me to use, and then I just like pieced it together and then sent it to them, and they gave me their thoughts, and I made the edits. So like, yeah, it was like very straightforward, because I feel like for that project at least, it's not like I understood like I'm making this for them, and like I like, if it doesn't align with how I personally would edit it, I don't really care, I guess, because it's for them, you know. But it might be different for different like projects or clients in the future, where it can be really tough to manage this balance. But yeah, for now, I think it's pretty much just like, sure.
Like you just do whatever.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think, like for me, I only had I think I had more, but the one that I can recall is oh God, I'm not gonna mention his name, but a friend, to remain anonymous. So a friend was like, "Can you help make a choreo for me, because my friend, like someone that they know, is getting married. So it's for a wedding, right? It's like, can you make a couple dance for like groom and bride?" And then so it was like, it's like, since I wasn't able to teach him in person, like I had to send a video. Like it was really interesting because like, knowing the circumstances surrounding that, like the bride is probably wearing something that's not easy to dance in. So like I made a draft, and then he was like, "Oh."
I thought you said you made a dress so you can
I just see me dancing in a dress. Yeah, that'd be really fun. No. So like I made a draft, and then I taught it to my friend, and then he gave me feedback because he was like, he's not a dancer, so like what he can produce is probably close to like the level of what like the groom and bride can produce. So then like he would give me feedback like, "Oh, this is kind of hard," or like, "This doesn't make sense," or he's like, "Yeah, the footsteps here is a little complicated." So then like it was like communication. But I think for this question, on what's interesting is that on most ends I'm actually the client, because I tend to be the one who go to other people for help. So like one example would be like me and Jean. Like we work together a lot for like videos and like podcasts and stuff like that. And like when we initially start these projects, like he asked me to be there, so I'm like sitting next to him while we talk through things. And because I'm not like knowledgeable in like editing and stuff, I'll be like, "Can you do this?" And he'd be like that doesn't make sense, or like it'd be hard, or like it would take way more time, like too much time. So I think it's like a lot of communication on that aspect. And like the second example would be like when I go to like my tattoo artists, because I'll have like this idea. I'm like, yo, bro, this would be hella dope if you could like, and he's like, bro, this doesn't make fucking sense. Like that's impossible. And I was like, I'm like, but I wanted this. And then no, but he'll like explain his thought process and his reasoning like really clearly, like 1, 2, 3, why it wouldn't work. And then like, of course I'm going to them because I like their art style and I trust like their expertise. So then I'll like generally like take in what they have to say. And if what I want is like, if I'm really firmly believing in what I want, then I'll kind of push back. But most ends, like I'll come to a compromise. But I think it's interesting because you guys are most of the time on the like
we're working for someone else.
Yeah,
side.
like the producer side, whereas on for me it's mostly been like I am the client. Or something like that. But
that was a fun question.
Slash
comment.
It's very interesting.
I forget. Oh, I do remember who wrote this, but thanks for the question. slash like comment.
Yeah. I guess for the next one, there's like 2 things that are kind of similar that we could group and talk about together. And it's just basically about like where you get your creativity, like the sources. And then one of them specifically asks, do you get creativity by spending time alone or with others?
For me, of course, like sources of creativity can be internal or external. That's why we have the internet and like, you know, people all connected and you kind of see what other people do, similar to what Joan said earlier. Like a lot of the times, as much as I hate to say, I think I am still very competitive too. Like when I see other people doing really well, I'm like, like, okay, I gotta get my shit together. Yeah, and like, but I think that's not a bad thing, because it's like it pushes you to be better and like as long as it doesn't get out of hand, then in a very healthy way. But I think especially with COVID, like I think a lot of people have had time to like think by themselves, be by themselves, and like for me, I don't think I'm super comfortable with just being in my thoughts yet. But I think having that opportunity and like now recently being more just sitting in my own mind, like I'm interested to see like where I come from in a creative sense, like when I'm just by myself and just like thinking on my own. But of course, like no matter what, I'm always going to be impacted by like the people around me and who I like view and look up to. Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to approach this because I've never thought about it as like spending time alone versus with others for creativity. Like I've definitely thought of it more for like energy or like in terms of like introvert versus extrovert type question.
Like social battery?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I would say maybe more with others. Even though when you're spending time alone, you can also be on the internet to look at other people. But I think it's like I'm more prone to getting stuck or like feeling like not, what is the word? Like where you stay, where you do something that's like the same and you're not really like changing or making progress.
Stagnant?
Yeah. Like I might be getting creative ideas or like feeling creative on my own, but it might be stagnant where it's like kind of the same, if that makes sense. But with others, they can like expose to me like new ideas. Does that make sense?
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I guess that's how I think about this.
Joan makes funny faces, guys, for our Spotify listeners.
I think for me, I tend to mainly draw inspiration from seeing other people, but I think like ultimately when I am creative, it somehow like it just keeps me up at night. I don't know why, but like it's a definite personal thing for me. Like I actually don't know why, but like there have been moments when I just like, I'm pretty sure you guys can relate to this too, but like literally since like freshman year, after I found my love for dancing, I like stayed up till like 3 just like thinking about dance and like what kinds of things I would want to make. And I'm just like, I don't know why I do that. I don't know how I have the energy to think about it. I don't right now, but I used to. And like once in a while it comes back and I'm just like, wow, that's like weird because I don't think I really do anything to like try to make that come to me. But I think generally it's just like, it's kind of like random spurts. It just comes and goes. And like when I am in the mood to like hold on to it and actually do something with it, then I'll do it. And if not, it's okay. Like I think it'll come back again. But yeah, it's just like, I forgot what I was gonna say. But I think most of my creative projects have been like me trying to like communicate or do it with like purpose or like or like communicate something. And I think that with like the ones where I am able to like hold on to a feeling or like hold on to a message, it's just kind of like, wow, that's like what I felt, and I'm really happy that I can like share that with other people, and hopefully they like feel that way too once they see what I make. Yeah,
that's interesting. Not
hot take.
No.
Another one.
I keep saying hot take, but it's
It's just your thoughts.
Opinion, just opinion.
Opinion. But something like when you said that, like in your thoughts, like I'm curious if this happens to anyone else, but it's like the most random times I'll be driving, I'll be showering, I'll be like eating, just living, but then like my mind will be on dance, and like it will suddenly create like a random ass choreo just while I'm doing something, and then but it like in my opinion that was a dope ass choreo, but I'm not in the time nor the space to be dancing. So it's not like I could just be like, oh, let me do it and let me record like if I'm driving, I can't just be like, oh, let me. That's a recipe for disaster, you know. So like I would be driving and I'm like, oh my god, that would be so cool. But then like that moment just slips.
Yeah, it passes.
And then I'll be like, fuck. I'll be like, damn it, like I had such a cool idea, but then I couldn't record it in any way. I'm just curious if that ever happens, like just daydreaming like that.
It does.
I think it does.
Yeah.
But then usually I'm just kind of like, maybe it wasn't that good anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For me, I'm like so terrified of losing it. I'll just make sure to record it. Like for when I choreograph dessert, there's so many random videos of me just being like doing whatever just to like make sure I remember it. And then so next time when I like am actually in a choreo session, I'll like look at it and be like,
oh, that's cool.
I think when I've recorded myself doing those kinds of things, like it doesn't. I can't tell what it is. Like there are like a lot of times I record myself just like freestyling, and then like I think in my head, I'll know what song it is. Because like I have the headphones on and stuff. But then when I watch the video, I'm just like I cannot tell. Yeah, like I don't know what I'm listening to.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that happens.
That's
It's a fun thought. Yeah.
I'll like try to explain it too, or if I can't do it
like
with
on
music
like voice
yet,
memo.
No, like in the video. Like if I can't do it with music
move your
yet,
right hand 2 inches to the left, circle around and hard hit.
That's what it would look like.
funny.
Yeah.
No, I could try to search it up, but look it up in my trash if it's still there. But I think
That's really fun.
It's been over 30 days, so I don't think so.
That's kind of funny. Oh my god.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's kind of what I do.
Should we skip this one?
Yeah.
All right.
I like 10 and 11.
Okay, then last two questions. 13's interesting. We'll see. When you create art, how do you balance between what you think is beautiful versus what is the line between being inspired versus like stealing someone's else's art / creative thought?
We also kind of touched on this before, but especially the part about like inspiration versus stealing, or like there's a lot of gray area between that. So it's a hard one.
Honestly, I have a pretty, I guess, not hard stance on this, but like in regards to dance, and I think in a lot of things, like you tend to learn whatever with guidelines first, and then as you reach a certain point, you realize all those guidelines are bullshit, and people tell you like, oh, there's an exception. But there's an exception to the exception. You know what I mean? And like people start like branching out. Like in terms of like the closest thing that I can think of right now is like music theory. It's like you learn it. There's like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? And then like when I got to like my second year, they're like, oh yeah, you can think of pitch as numbers. And I was like, so you're telling me to like erase everything that I learned like of like, you know, these syllables? And they're like, yeah, like, and we're gonna start like putting math on music. And I was like, what? So it's like when you learn stuff, I think because it's so hard for you to understand some things that you kind of have to learn with guidelines. And in regards to dance, my mentor, Siler, like something that he said to me before and I personally resonate now with is you have to earn the right to be creative, if that makes sense. But I think that's also a very narrow view in terms of just like freestyle and in terms of specific styles, because like that's where like the whole conversation of fundamentals and like styles comes into play, because like if you say if you say I'm a crumper and you go out and you've never trained in this style and you just do whatever you think looks like it, like it's a very washed down and it doesn't look right.
I see.
But then like if you train and you know all your fundamentals and then you're like, okay, it's like I know what verbs, adjectives, nouns, and punctuation is, and now I can start creating my own sentences because I understand what these things do, right? Like adjectives describe a noun, and verb is what a noun is doing. And at the end of a sentence, you need a punctuation to tell the reader like this is the idea. Versus like if you didn't know what that was, and it's like period, I jump, house. And people are like, what does that mean? Right?
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what came to my mind. But yeah, definitely, like in the beginning, to some extent, you're gonna be stealing people's ideas and like biting, copying, whatever. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
I agree.
ASMR.
I agree.
Woo!
Yeah, I think something that like I don't know, but like I feel like there's also a lot of at least like as you mentioned, like you're bound to like have copied something from somebody else.
Yeah.
Whatever you make, like sad to say, but I don't think like anything that like I personally think of will be like an original move or
Like
an original thought.
truly,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So it's like I think it's just like also kind of like a conversation about like knowing again like where fundamentals and like where your stuff is like coming from. I think that's like important to keep in mind. And I also think that like at least in terms of like style or like copying a style / like being inspired by it, I think it's just like ideally I don't want to copy anybody's style. Like I want to have like my own thing. But like if I'm like if I see a style that I like and then I try to apply it like on my body, it's not gonna look the same. So I feel like to avoid like me stealing anybody's like style or like signature or like the vibe they give off, like I would personally like maybe like try it, see how it looks on my body, and then like tweak it to make it fit my body like better. So like that way it's not like exactly copy paste. Yeah. Like it will never be truly copy paste unless it's like something hard, as in like writing or like potentially visual art, depending on like how close you look at it, or like video. Like it's like those things I feel like it could be like copy and paste, but I feel like with dance it's like on you. So it's like you can't exactly like copy, but you should still not try to do that.
Yeah.
Don't copy dance.
Yeah. It could also depend on how you say it or call it, label it. Like for example, in your example, if you're like, oh, I'm doing crump, but it's like not actually crump, then it's like, oh. But versus if you say like, oh, I'm doing like hip hop dance with crump inspired movement or whatever textures or something, that would probably like be more okay, I'm assuming.
Yeah, more better mediated.
Yeah. So I think it also depends on what you think of it. Like, are you just saying like, oh, this is mine, or are you saying like, oh, like this is like how I'm applying something else that I saw or something. Yeah.
I agree.
Very important conversations to be held.
Yeah, I mean, this is in regards to like our dance community specifically, but also just I think it applies to like other creative avenues as well. But because we're all in dance, it's something that's constantly on our minds.
Yeah.
And in that regards of like other fields, how do you pursue creativity in a field that's not traditionally regarded as creative?
This is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
I like it though. I think this can be hard when the stereotypical view of creativity is like art, design, like visual type of things, or like music or dance. But creativity, like in its sense, just means when you are doing or thinking something in a way that is not
different, right?
Yeah, that is like different, that is like fun, or like just not necessarily like the one thing that everyone else does.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to think, I'm thinking of this as in like maybe your field is like business or like something like that, where it's like not necessarily creative, but business can still be very creative. If it's like if you're doing more analytical things, it can be a matter of like the way that you like take your analysis or the way that you present the insights can be different. and that would be creativity, or if it's like how you integrate creativity of ideas and of like ways to connect with consumers and tie that in with different like research to create a strategic plan or strategy. That could also be creative. Like I think there are many ways to be creative, but don't like think, you don't have to think of creativity as like I'm drawing something or I'm making something. It can just be with the way that you think and speak as well.
Yeah.
I think like the power in higher education is like you get to a place where whatever you study, like you have all the base information that like you need, and the creativity in that is that like you have to find a way to like express how you think, or your like method of like thinking through things. And I feel like because I almost said I study STEM. No, I do not. I study humanities, but I feel like even with like a topic such as like history, I'm sorry, I'm just like thinking about my paper right now and getting stressed. But it's just like I have to be creative in the way I am formulating like my thesis statement.
True.
Like the way I am taking the opinions of all these other historians is going to have to come from like my understanding of it, which is like creativity. So I feel like I don't know if it applies the same way to STEM, but maybe it does. Maybe it does. I at least like I know in like a non-academic sense, I definitely feel like creativity is something that like it is always a part of you. Like creativity is like what you think, how you think, and like how you express that thought and apply it. It's stressful.
Honestly, that's such a good point, though, especially like when you said like the power of higher education. My thought process went like the power of higher education is to like put into the mind of like young adults and kids like nowadays like what is creative, because like if you know, it's like stereotypical like conservative view, it's like, oh yeah, like STEM is not creative and creative is just like the arts. Like I think that's very, in my opinion, not good, because like creativity, again, as Joan said, is like how you interpret things. And of course in STEM you're still interpreting things, like obviously, right? You're using your brain to some extent. So like I think for me, like great examples is like you know, when Amazon is created, like, and back in the time, like the internet was not used for that type of stuff, but you know, our mans decided to sell books online, and that became a huge thing in what it is now. And then like same with like coding, right? Like when you look on your iPhone, like all those little apps, or like what's it called, widgets? Yeah, widgets. Like that all comes from like numbers and code ultimately, right? So it's like how people can creatively like interpret that language to create something that like looks different and aesthetic in the modern, you know, eye. So I think like although creativity tends to be associated with things like dance, like visual arts, graphic design, stuff like that, in my opinion, in reality, like this is kind of like full circle. But like creativity is like everywhere. It's just, yeah. it's a circle of life type shit. Yeah, like it's literally everywhere. It just depends on how you utilize it, because it is unique. Every person is unique, unless you're like twins. But even then, you're still unique. You're still unique. You're still unique.
Sorry if you're a twin.
Yeah. Even if you are a twin, you're still unique. That was out of pocket.
That's so funny. Sorry, I was like, wait, no.
Wrong. But you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's my take on it. Do you want to do? Should we do the last one, or?
Yeah, we can briefly talk about it.
Okay.
It's very interesting. The last question is creativity an innate quality or talent, and is it correlated with intelligence?
Okay, I think creativity is innate. It is in you. I think intelligence relates to like how you are able to bring that out of you. Or I feel like, I mean, like you, as you said, like you need to have like the basis understanding of like how creative platforms or like what's the word? The way like creative let's just say
outlets?
Yeah, outlets. Like you need to know like how like the basis of those things work, and that requires like a little bit of intelligence, but I feel like ultimately it comes down to like it is innate.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're not creative, like maybe you are.
Maybe you are.
Like maybe you're just not like seeing that side of you, because I feel like some people have like creativity that is very like easy to access. It's like like they are very comfortable with their own creativity, but other people like it takes a while to like come to terms with that. Slash like you might be creative in a way that like is not normal.
Honestly, that was such a good point. Like creativity is more innate, and like talent and that stuff is innate, because of course like some people just have more talent than others, but then that's where hard work comes into use, and that's like intelligence, how you how you go about like not procuring, what the fuck? How you go about like growing your own like creativity and like how to make it more like readable and like seeable to other people, right? How to communicate that better. And honestly, this reminded me of the nature versus nurture thing, because it could just be an environment that impacts you too.
That's true,
right? Because like, you could be a really creative person, but then maybe the environment you're in is just like not a good environment for you to see that you're creative, or for other people to see that you're creative, or it's the opposite. Well, actually, I take that back.
What do you mean? Like, you think you're creative, but you're actually not?
No, I take that back. Everyone is creative, but like, you get my point. Like, nature versus nurture, but I think what you said, Joan, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think differently about this now. At first, I was going to say, like, I think some people are just more creative than others naturally, and that it is not correlated with intelligence. But now maybe it's just that, like, some people's creativity manifests itself more than others, and that everyone is creative. It's just different, especially, like, when you box yourself and you think, only the arts are, like, creative. But you might be creative in, like, fashion, you know, like how you think about choosing your outfits is a way for you to be creative. Like, it can be very different. Cooking. Oh yeah. Like at the end of it, like everything you do can be creative. Even the way you walk, you know.
Free will is creative.
Walking down street and you're like, people are like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm being creative. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's just so funny because like it sounds so cliche, but
it's kind of truth.
I feel like it is truth.
Yeah. Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
I think it's also important for you to think about how you define creativity, because depending on that, you might feel like you're more or less creative. But
the metrics and all that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yay! So that was the end of delivery time and also of this episode. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and that it sparked some thoughts or conversations among yourselves and the people around you, and can even translate into helping you in approaching your creative endeavors. But if you would like to interact with us, please feel free to hit us up on our socials. You can find me on All Things Allie on YouTube, and you can find Matt.
Instagram is mattu_9.
And you can find Joan.
Instagram at joan.guac. YouTube at Holy Guacamole. LinkedIn, Joan.
True though.
Joan Guac 9 or something. But honestly, if anyone career related finds me on this, that'd be so cool. But at the same time, really cool. I understand if you don't.
That'd be cool.
Yes, but feel free to leave a comment on our full YouTube video when this episode is out. You can also listen to this episode on Spotify and stay updated with our latest episodes.
Go, you got it.
To stay updated on our latest episodes, check out our socials and our YouTube channel at For Real Podcast. And thank you so much, Joan, for coming today.
Yay! Thank you for having me. That was a very fun conversation.